Don't just live for tomorrow, or just live in yesterday. Just be glad for all you have that's in today.
Hey everyone, Connie here, and welcome to my blind reaction to the movie Rim of the World, a donation reward reaction for Venom 0027. I almost said Venom twice there. Only one Venom. Okay, so Rim of the World is a movie. It's on Netflix. I don't know if it was made for Netflix or not, but all I know about it is I guess it's some kind of, I don't know, journey to the center of the earth kind of movie. I saw basically the briefest of like screen clips from when I uh, bookmarked the movie on Netflix, um, and it looked like it was that kind of thing. At least it had something like some kind of creature in it that looked like it would possibly be like in that kind of thing. I don't know, but like I had never even heard of this movie until it was suggested to me. I don't even think I had seen it on Netflix like before. But I mean, my feed doesn't show everything, so. Um, so yeah, I don't know this one like at all. I haven't heard of it prior to it being suggested for a reaction, and I have no idea what to think of it going in. I don't even know if there's any big name actors in it that I know. Um, Now, as for my thoughts on movies like that kind, like the Journey to Center of the Earth and stuff like that, um, I'm okay with them. The big thing for those kind of movies that they have to do for me is they have to have really good aesthetic. Like they have to be really cool looking, really pretty looking. And Journey to the Center of the Earth, at least the one I'm thinking of, the one with Brendan Fraser, I believe. I believe he was the one who was in it. Um, that one was good. Or was it The Rock? That's a weird like two actors to get mixed up. I don't know. It was either Brendan Fraser or The Rock. Maybe both. Maybe one of them was Brendan Fraser because I think there was actually two of them. Yeah, because I think Brendan Fraser might have been the first one, but then the second one might have been The Rock. Yeah, because I think there was a sequel that was technically a sequel to the first, but also had like a different main character or something. I don't know. I don't know. Um, and I know Journey to the Center of Earth is like a story. I think it's by Jules Verne originally, but still, it's like I'm talking about the movies. But yeah, for those kind of movies, like where you're exploring these like unknown lands with all these weird creatures and stuff, it's like you got to have it be very aesthetically pleasing. That's all I'm trying to get at here. Um, Now the creature I saw very briefly in that screen grab, I didn't like check out the screen grab. I just briefly saw it before continuing on my way, basically. Um, I don't even fully remember what it looks like. I think it was kind of reptilian, maybe. But I can't be sure on that because again, I only briefly glimpsed at it. Um, that would kind of fit in with I think with the idea that I kind of have going in with the idea I have in my head going into this movie. I can't speak today apparently. Um, so it'd be interesting. But yeah, I don't know anything else about this like at all. But I'm interested to find out. Um, and just as a note, as always, if you have any ideas for movies, shows, or even YouTube videos or YouTube shows or series or whatever that you want to see me react to, if you're able to, you can donate to make that happen. Donations are taken via PayPal. A link is in the description below to my paypal.me, which is the easiest way to handle that. Um, and yeah, yeah. If you can, obviously nothing's required, but if you can, Any donations are accepted, and right now, honestly, they're helping me be able to get stuff like food, which is kind of important. So yeah, if you could do anything, anything would help. um, but yeah, we're going to get into this and hope for the best. So let's see what we've got. So when the screen fades to black, pause this redirect and go to the description below. Follow the link to the reaction, and after you watch it, come back here to the redirect and resume play. Because after it fades to black and then fades back in, everything from that point forward will be my afterthoughts and will contain spoilers to the movie. So, that being said, thank you so much for tuning in, and I will see you at the reaction. Okay, and we are back, and we'll begin with spoilers in 3, 2, 1, now. So, this movie was directed and produced by Mick G, who I know at least for being the executive producer of Supernatural. But this is definitely not in the same league. This movie apparently was this movie, from what I read, in between the reaction and now, was meant to be a kind of a modern take on the classic 80s kids action movies. You know, like how in the 80s there are these action adventure movies with kids as the main protagonists and everything. Was meant to appeal more to a family demographic and stuff. Um, the problem here is that this movie is just not good. I, I'm sorry, it's not. Now, and I've seen a lot of B movies. I've seen a lot of movies that are bad. Um, I've seen The Room, I've seen Birdemic, I've seen a lot of bad movies throughout my time. But what most of those movies have going for them is that they almost seem like they're purposefully bad, like they're so bad it's actually really fun to watch them. This one almost reaches that, but not quite. There's definitely some moments in it that are legitimately funny. Like the entire Mannequin Skywalker joke, that was really funny. For example, like that was legitimately really good. But most of the comedy is very cringy. Not even just the constant barrage of references to like other movies and whatnot, but there was also a lot of just really like, the offensive cringe comedy that you see a lot in adult TV shows and adult animated TV shows, I should say. Um, you'll see a lot of that same kind of comedy, and it's just like really just ugh, like you just can't enjoy it. At least I can't. The characters were okay. They were very tropey. They were very cliche. Um, like they all had their role to play. They were all a very specific trope. The romance was extremely forced and out of place and just really felt unnecessary. Um, the acting was okay. It wasn't like the best or anything. It wasn't what I'd call amazing, but it wasn't bad. I've seen much worse acting. Bring back up again Tommy Wiseau's The Room. Much worse acting. um, but yeah, it's like it wasn't bad. It was kind of just bland, I guess you could say. The action sequences were just kind of okay. The effects were just kind of okay. Nothing really stood out. Nothing really got to that point where it was really good. And it just felt like it was on the brink of being one of those so bad it's good movies, but didn't quite get there. And it just ends up being kind of bad. Not the worst movie I've seen by any means. Have seen a lot worse movies, and a lot of movies that were just hard to sit through and stupid and terrible. I mean, Step Brothers is a much worse movie. Jack and Jill is a much worse movie. Another issue I had with this film, though, is that I wasn't quite sure what the tone was supposed to be. Like, there was a lot of moments in this where it was very comedic, tone wise, even if it wasn't actually funny. There were a lot of moments that were super ridiculous and over the top. Like the moment where they're dancing after having changed their clothes and coming out of the mall and stuff, right before the Mannequin Skywalker joke. And then when they're in the car just driving along and they're like bobbing their heads and dancing around, it's like, what the fuck kind of tone are you going for? You do realize they're still in an alien apocalyptic event, right? It's like, yeah, they're kids, and yeah, they might act goofy here and there, but it's like that's just an unbelievable level. It's unrealistic and just really ridiculous, and it just kind of came across as really off. Um, and then there was other also various points in this movie that were excessively serious, and it's like they really contrasted, and it felt like the movie was just unclear as what it wanted to be. Um, on top of that, on top of that, um, the music was terrible. Not just the main theme that played throughout the film, which again I still say sounds like a loading screen theme or title screen theme, one of the two, from a just ridiculous indie game. Like not even a good indie game, a ridiculous dumb indie game. It just sounded like it just didn't fit. Any of the moments that it played at during the movie, it felt so out of place. There was at one point, like the first time I think it played, um, I I actually had to check to make sure that wasn't coming from like another tab or window or something because I did not believe it was coming from the same movie. It felt so out of place and so unnatural. It didn't even sound like it was mixed into the film right. I legitimately thought it was coming from another tab or something. Which, I mean, I don't know how that would have happened, but still. And even outside of the main theme, the rest of the music was just not that great. It just really wasn't. They used a lot of tracks like a lot of rap and hip hop in this that just felt like it really only kind of worked for the one character. Like when they were introducing him, it's like, yeah, use a track like that or something. But the rest of the time, it just felt like it just kind of felt out of place, especially for the scenes and especially again for those moments that otherwise felt extremely tonally out of place. Um, and it only worked for the one character, like during his introduction scene, because it's like that was how he was presenting himself, even though we come to find out that he's definitely not like that, and it's just a front for his own insecurities and fears brought upon by his father going to prison and them losing their money and everything. And that's another thing. The backstories of these characters are very generic and uninteresting, and it just feels like, except for maybe one of them, they're not given enough time to develop for us as viewers to care about. Um, it's mostly like they're mostly exposited in pretty much a single line during a single moment. Um, and there's only certain aspects of it that will ever like even be mentioned again. And I don't remember any of their names except Darius, by the way. So um, keep in mind that I'm. Oh no, I remember Gabriel's name. But let's start with Darius and Gabriel. So Darius's backstory is obviously he's a rich kid. Uh, he comes from a well off family who owns like the biggest car dealership around. Which, considering the mansion we saw, it's like your dad just owns a car dealership. It's like something is off. I thought something was off there, and then we find out they're losing their mansion and money and the car dealership, and the father's going to jail. It's like, oh, there was something more going on there. But the thing is, we never like get anything with that. It's almost like implying that there was like some underhanded business tactics, or maybe even that the car dealership was a front for something. But it never goes into it at all in any way, and it just feels like it's kind of an incomplete backstory. Um, it never really goes into fully why he acts like that either. Why Darius acts the way he does. It definitely feels like it's supposed to be like this kind of coping mechanism, but it's never actually explored enough. Um, and it just feels like everything with his backstory is just like briefly brought up, and then it's like, okay, that's it. Whatever. Gabriel. So we first meet him in the mountains. He's just randomly there. Uh, and we later find out that he went to juvenile hall after assaulting someone. Well, barely assaulting, just punching him in the face, which I really don't think is enough for someone to be sentenced to juvie. I might be wrong, but I don't think that's a big enough crime to warrant juvie. Um, Especially for a 13-year-old. Um, because he was working as a bag boy. He was having trouble with giving change back or something, which bag boys don't do. By the way, at grocery stores, the cashier gives the change back and stuff. The bag boy just bags the food. So it's like I was kind of confused about that. Um, but a customer got angry at him. He ended up punching the customer. His mother got fired from the grocery store, and he went to juvie. He escaped from juvie somehow. That's never gone into. Um, and he's been living in the mountains. We don't even know how long it's been since he escaped from juvie and has been living there, but that's what's been happening. Nothing about that's ever gone into. The only thing that they really continue to go into after that point with him is the fact that he has a hard time reading numbers. Um, it might be a bit of dyslexia. That it definitely sounds like a dyslexia thing with how he describes it and all. Um, but the fact that it's specifically with numbers, I don't know. I mean, that might be a thing. I just don't know. Um, so I can't fully say. Um, that is gone into and that does become important. Um, but it does it's like minor compared to like just the entire backstory. The girl, apparently her father wanted a boy, and that's really all we know. Some dude helped sneak her into the country, and she's quiet and stoic and wanted to get to this place for some unknown reason. I don't think it ever actually explained that, why she wanted to get to that camp. Maybe just because she had the brochure and wanted to see that view, but that's a kind of a weak reason. Her backstory is pretty much non-existent for the most part, though. And then the main kid is he's just a nerd who doesn't spend much time outside or with other kids, and his mother wanted him to. And his father is dead already. His father is gone, and he cared for his father, and very generic, very generic. Um, Overall, it's just like the story as well. These four kids like saving the world from this alien invasion also felt extremely forced and out of nowhere. It just like felt like there's no way this would work. There's no way this kind of thing would work. And yeah, again, this is based on like those 80s like kids action adventure movies and all. It's like, yeah, sure, it's not necessarily meant to be fully realistic, but it just felt like they were excessively lucky to get out of certain situations when they did and to get as far as they did. It just hell, even just the astronaut in the first place and then the soldier, them trusting these kids with the key seemed a little out of place. Like I get the astronaut, that's one thing because they're the only ones around and she needs to get that key to where she needs to get it. But then after that, the soldier, it just felt like he trusted them a little too quickly and easily with it after the entire thing was taken down, after everything was taken down. It just and the guy on the screen, the military guy on the screen, he like at first he was like, no, 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 this is over. You guys just eh, you just have to go and everything, and they're like, no, we're gonna stay, and he's like, yeah, okay, whatever. It's just like, oh, that was a quick turnaround. Um, I just feel like this movie had an idea and did not execute it as well as they thought they were going to and as well as they thought they did. This feels very much like a B movie that's trying way too hard to be an A movie. You know what I mean? It feels like it's trying way too hard to be like an actual big good movie and just not working. It's not working. Um Again, it's not the worst movie I've seen. I've seen a lot worse. But it was really cringy, really hard to watch. And even if there were a few good moments like the mannequin Skywalker joke and the entire dialogue about Darius and Alexander the Great, overall the film was weak. But it was at least somewhat entertaining as a watch. So I'm not like upset that I saw it or anything. It's just all right, why not? It's one of those movies that I won't remember much in the future, like in the weeks to come and stuff, and I'll eventually just kind of forget about altogether. Um, but it's not something that I necessarily regret watching. It's not something that I hated or anything. So there is that. um, but tell me in the comments below what you thought of Rim of the World, and thank you so much for tuning in. For now, I'm Connie, and I'm signing off. See you all next time.